Did you meet anyone famous?
Michael Moore showed up to our show.
Wow.
He got on stage and he sang "O Canada" once we finished playing.
Really?
Which was crazy. I met Tom Cochran and didn't realize it was Tom Cochran.
Hello, bonjour. Welcome to Hitmakers, the #1 podcast about the drums in Atlantic Canada. I think we're the only one. So nice of you to join us. This week, I am talking to Adrian Morris of the band Neon Dreams. Neon Dreams, I'm not sure how to classify them. I would say they're like a dancey, poppy kind of band. I guess you could call it sort of mainstream pop. I saw a video of them where they described it as folk trap or something. So I'm going to let him explain it for you. But before that, Adrian was playing drums. He was playing guitar. He was hustling around the scene. I've known him for a number of years, since he was just a young guy. And he's always been a hard worker, a talented dude. And he took us behind the scenes on his life as a touring musician. So it does get kind of technical, a little bit inside baseball at some points, but that's why you tune in, isn't it? We didn't forget to have fun. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoy this. My conversation with Adrian Morris.
Go.
Hey.
Adrian Morris, how you doing?
I'm good. How's it going?
Oh, it's going all right. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
How'd you get into the drums?
I started playing drums, I want to say I was like 13 or 14. I had a next door neighbor that played guitar and was playing piano at the time. And he
You were playing piano at the time?
I was playing piano, yeah. I started out playing piano and...
Did you like it?
No, I hated it. But I thank my parents every day for forcing me into piano when I was younger, because I probably play piano almost as much as I play drums now. But so my next door neighbor was playing guitar, and he had this huge Metallica obsession, and he just finished learning how to play Master of Puppets. He's like, man, love to jam with a drummer one day. You should totally quit piano and play drums. And I was like, I don't know how that's gonna go with my parents, but then I kept on talking to my dad, kept on whispering in my dad's ear, man, I hate playing piano, hate it so much. And then one day he brought me into a lesson at Long McQuaid in Bedford there, and he sat down with my piano teacher, and he was just like, I don't think this is working, and we just talked it through. And then I remember my piano teacher at the time, his name was Stefan, but I can't remember what his last name was.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah? Okay, yeah. So,
he's a nice guy.
And then he went downstairs and he grabbed Doug Cameron out of the lesson room at the basement along McQuaid, and Doug came up and he was like, when do you want to start? And then we started, I think, the next week or something like that.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I think... I remember first lesson, it was just a basic 4/4 rock groove, and then my second lesson was Fat Lip by Sum 41, and then my pop punk obsession began right there.
Was that your suggestion or his?
No, it was his, and then I just from there I just really got into pop punk, and then and then I think after that lesson my dad took me out to go get a kit, and then I got my first kit after that.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah. What a guy to have as your first drum teacher, too.
Yeah, Doug's incredible.
Yeah, just in terms of somebody who knows the instrument inside and out and has a really intellectual approach himself, but can make it pretty relatable for anybody who wants to play.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, I had him for... I actually had... I went to NSCC for 2 years, and I had them... I was with Dave Burton first, and then I asked him if I could go with Doug, and I was with Doug for about, I think, 6 months of it, and then I forget his name, Brock Arsenault? No, not Arsenault.
Oh,
Brock, I forget his last name.
I don't know if I ever met him, but I know the guy you mean.
Yeah, he was great.
I don't think I ever saw that guy play drums. He's supposed to be really good.
Really good. Yeah. He's great.
Cool. All right, so you're taking drums, taking drum lessons age 13?
Yeah, 13 or 14. What grade?
13, 14, playing
No,
pop
I want to
punk?
say even younger than that. I probably was 12. I was 12, yeah. I was pretty young.
Cool.
Yeah.
You got a drum kit in the house. It's a lot louder than the piano. It's a lot less. Parents seem to want kids to play piano. Like, I remember myself, my cousins were all in piano lessons. I was so happy that I didn't have to do that.
For my mom, it was like an intellectual thing. She was like,
Sure.
you're better at math if you know how to play piano, because she was doing her like reading up on Parrington, like
how
to educate your kids well, right? So like,
and that's how people pitch music lessons too. Is like kids who take music lessons do better on tests or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
But okay, so how long before you formed a band or were in a band? Did you learn Master of Puppets?
You know what? The first band I played in was a cover band. I did sort of learn Master of Puppets. I probably can't play it now still.
It's a tall order for a kid.
Yeah. Actually, no. You know what? Doug tabbed the entire thing out to me, but in... Not tab, fucking, like an actual transcription. Can I swear on this?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, he did an actual transcription, so, and I remember he did the entire, so that must have taken forever. He hand wrote it, too, so.
Unreal. Yeah. Did he go home and do it, or did he make you sit there while he did it?
No, he went home and did most of it. He made me sit there while he did some of it, but he went home and did a lot of it.
That's cool, man. I've made kids sit there while I've written stuff out.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of time to take from your own personal life aside from lessons to go and transcribe something like that.
But it's a good teacher that does that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he refused to let me learn off tabs with him.
Oh really? Like stuff you got off the internet?
Yeah, I remember he had a transcription website that transcribed like all those pop punk songs I wanted to learn, like all like Blink songs, Sum 41 tracks, Green Day tracks, and he made me go do the transcriptions instead of tabs.
Nice.
Which is good because it got me a lot better sight reading.
Well, and then you actually learn how to read music as opposed to. Yeah. And I mean, I'm just guessing here, but probably people who take the time to write out transcriptions are going to do a more accurate job than people who make tabs. I don't really know.
Totally, yeah.
But okay, so Sum 41, were you a fan before you got into that, or was that your kind of
No, that was my introduction to that whole genre of music.
Yeah,
and that stuck with me even up till now. I still like listen to the latest like newest pop punk stuff. Like,
yeah.
This has never left me.
I'm from PEI, and pop punk is really big over there, and I always found like
totally.
I remember even thinking at that time that. Great music for, kids that age to be into because it's energetic. It's like, to me, in my mind, it's like, and you even think of the Green Day Basket Case video where it's like really bright colors. It's really energetic.
Yeah.
And so how long before you played your first show?
First show.
Yeah. Or like, what was the trajectory between like from getting your first drum set to being on stage?
I had like this really rad band teacher all the way from elementary through junior high, and I was either in grade 6 or grade 7, but he started like a lunchtime like rock band thing.
Cool.
So like we would just play covers and all that, and I think the very first song we did was Enter Sandman, but like what he would basically have us come in, and it was either once a week or twice a week for an hour during lunch or an hour after school, and we would jam and stuff. And then I remember the first year it didn't really go anywhere, and there's some kids that kind of just like wanted to do it but didn't really want to do it. And then it ended up being a set group of kids, and actually one of them, I don't know if you're familiar with Fishbone Prince.
No.
He does a whole bunch of like artwork here for like Matt Mays, different beer companies.
Oh, Fishbone Prince.
Yeah. So
Alex.
Yeah. So Alex was in the first cover band I ever played in.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and we were covering everything from like White Stripes to actually Matt Mays to just tons of different Neil Young. Like yeah, we were doing that sort of thing, and then I would get them to sneak in the occasional pop punk track. But yeah,
nice. Yeah, I taught Alex's dad drums really briefly.
Oh really?
Yeah, I remember he was into Matt Mays.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So then that was kind of like my first transition. So that teacher was so rad. He would take us on like junior high school tours, and we would go play like an assembly for like all these different junior highs, and basically we played like half the junior highs in HRM, and then eventually it would be like dances, and then we started getting paid for them, and we were like grade 8 and 9.
Amazing.
And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah.
Did you get to take time off of school to do it too?
Occasionally.
Like you'd take an afternoon off to go play somewhere else?
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah. For the assembly stuff, like when we did that, and then also he would bring us to, because he was a band teacher at different schools. Eventually, when I think we were in like grade 8 or 9, he would take us to his grade 6 classes and get us to like teach the percussion sections. Me, because we were 2 drummers.
Yeah.
I would play bass sometimes in the cover band, and we would switch back and forth between bass and drums. And he would take me and the other drummer to go do percussion lessons for like the grade 6 students, while he was doing other sections for his band class and stuff, just because he needed the extra hand. And that was really cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally cool. I know I came up through, we had a really good music program too. I just had a really great band teacher. He'd be putting bands together for shows. You get to take the afternoon off and just go play music.
Yeah.
It was all I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's awesome. Totally.
We're lucky to have that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I got out in the world and realized that not everybody's school is like that.
Yeah, totally.
I know Gavin, the bass player in Glory Glory, my former bandmate, he went to a school where his class in grade 1 was his class in grade 12. It was like 18 people or something.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it was totally different.
And then the other thing is that we used to go teach those like younger grade 6 students and stuff like that, but you also used to bring Kev Corbet in all the time to teach us. So he would do like private stuff with us. So like kind of like his way of being like, you go teach these younger kids, I'll bring in someone that's like specializes for you to come do it. So I met Kev Corbet when I was in like grade 9.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which is awesome because I've done some gigs with him like now. And
yeah.
It was just weird like being back in like grade 9 doing that and then playing with him now, which was really cool.
You've done some gigs with him on drums?
Yeah, so he kind of did like a, I guess like musical director position for this guy named George Leach. Mm-hmm. He's an Aboriginal like blues guitar player from out west.
Okay.
And so Kev had me come in and play drums for him, and Kev played bass, and then he brought his guitar player in. He's wicked. He was like Juno nominated guy, and that was like one of my first like real like getting hired to do a gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you play?
We played on the Candy Show, and then we did like an impromptu thing when we were eating lunch at Your Father's Mustache, but it was for the Candy Show when we did it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a good gig too. TV is not in this part of the world something that there's a whole lot of that kind of work.
No, totally. No, in Halifax there isn't many like stations you can go play on besides acoustic kind of stuff. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I met you when you would have been probably about that age, and you were really into Travis Barker, as I recall, at that time.
Yeah, totally.
It seemed like you kind of got into the pavilion scene.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So the first band I would have played in that would have played like the pavilion scene and like all those like community halls and stuff was a band called Joe What Are You Wearing?
Nice.
And yeah.
Where'd that name come from?
I think like they were a band before I joined, but I think their buddy wore like some weird shorts to like gym class or something like that, and everybody was like, Joe, what are you wearing? And they named it their band or something like that. But I played bass in that band actually. I didn't play drums.
Okay.
And like it was like real sludgy metal. I think we were tuned to like drop B flat or something like that. So like it was super, like my bass couldn't handle it at all.
Did you put real thick strings on it? Or
no, I didn't know what I was doing, man. I didn't know anything about gear or anything like that. I still don't really, but like it was, I was playing bass and like drop B flat, and it was cool. It wasn't like super my thing. Like I'm into heavy music, but like, yeah, it was a cool like first experience playing in a band.
Mm-hmm. How long did that last?
I think I did like 4 or 5 shows maybe.
Right.
So like I think I was doing it for like almost a year though. And then after that I played what did I do after that? I played in a band called CMJ, which had all the members from Neon Dreams in it.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
And it was like pop rock with like metal influence and a little bit of hip hop influence.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
How'd you get hooked up with those guys?
I got hooked up with those guys from the pavilion scene. I remember seeing like one of their shows before I hooked up with them, but my buddy, Dwayne Shanks, he plays drums in a band called Botfly.
Yes.
He knew that I wanted to play like poppier stuff, and I was hanging around with like a lot of like metal and hardcore dudes, and they needed a drummer last minute for a show. I think it was like 2 or 3 days out, and then he sent them my YouTube link, and then I went and jammed with them, and I played for a show with them, and that's how I got linked up with them.
Cool.
Yeah.
I remember meeting those guys, and they were a band
Yeah, I think you met Frank before I was even in that.
I did, and I remember he was actually... I met them when they were little kids, and I was teaching at Long McQuaid, and it was really kind of weird. It was a situation somebody dreamed up where they wanted to bring kids... There were two groups, one of like really little kids, and then these guys would have been teenagers. But they wanted to bring a rock band in, so they were a pre-existing band, and they wanted me to kind of help them with their songs and like rehearsing.
Right, Long McQuaid did like lessons for bands at one point.
Yeah, but the problem with this is we couldn't be loud. So
really? Okay.
It was electronic drums and amps, and everything had to be routed through a mixer.
You know what's
everybody's
hilarious?
playing in headphones.
That's how we jam right now.
Really?
Yeah, I play on like a really crappy like Roland HD1.
Yeah.
But we wrote it through an X32 rack, and then vocals in, and then we play with stems, right? Backing track stems.
Yeah.
And then guitars run through like a guitar rig or something like that.
Does everybody have their own mix?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The problem with this was when I was doing that is everybody had the same mix.
Totally. We used to do that too, like way back in the day. We used to do that. Everybody had the same mix.
You have to know, like, if you're a guitar player and like maybe you're panned, that's the only way you could even pick yourself out at all.
Totally. Like, well, I have a hard time picking myself out right now. So I'm playing with like one ear like half in, so I can hear like the electronic pads and stuff like that.
Are there electronic drums in the tracks besides what you're playing?
Yeah, totally. And also I have like a click cranked. So, but yeah, that's like we're using like real ears. Like I use JH Audio ears, and like so it's not like completely awful. But I remember when we used to do it, I was using like over ear like $30 AKGs and like
oh wow,
we wouldn't even mix drums in at all. It'd be with live drums.
Yeah.
So like you could just hear the drums through your headphones, and then guitar would be like plugged directly into the mixer through like a DI out from the amp, and then vocals.
Yeah.
And no click either. I was playing with no click up until like January actually.
Yeah.
So like it was weird.
How do you like playing with a click?
I love it.
Yeah,
So
I was
much
really
fun.
resistant to the idea. I did it for a while. Hated the idea. And then once I started doing it...
Well, the thing is that I was playing to DJ left-right channels, basically. Our DJ would play left-right, and I'd have no click, but like the electronic drums were so prominent that I felt like I didn't need it. But then like... So we're starting to work with this like performance coach guy. He's like a musical director. He did like the Drake, The Weeknd, like all their backing bands and stuff like that.
Oh wow!
And he was like, "You're not hitting the one on the one." He was like, "You would be fired in an instant if I hired you in a band." He was like, "Why aren't you in the one?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have a click. Like so, like if it's like a quick like a weird like patty intro, and I gotta catch the one.
You gotta wait for it.
I gotta wait for the snare, like the second, like the snare. Let the one go and then come in on the snare and like." So, yeah,
because the thing worse than not hitting it is hitting it in the wrong spot.
Totally. So I'd always just let the electronic kick do its thing and then come in on the two. And, like, a lot of hip-hop guys will do that because, like, rappers don't have stems.
Right.
And they just let their DJs play their MP3s pretty much. Like, even, like, full vocal blasting, they'll rap over their vocal and stuff like that. So, like, a lot of hip-hop guys have that issue. Where the tracks are routed straight through the DJ because the things like DJ plays the track, so like that's the classic.
He's got
thing.
headphones.
So when they play with the backing band, so I came from playing hip hop before playing with a lot of backing tracks, so I was used to that, and I just was like, yeah, this is how you do it. And then when we switched the stems, it was like, oh, this is how you do it. Like
right.
Once the click was in the stems, cues, like counting you in to like different parts and stuff. It's like a lot more organized, and it's awesome that way. And I love that I can have like a stem mix now, so if I like want like less electronic drums and I just want like click and like just bass and like, or if there's one synth that throws me out, I usually like pull that synth right out.
You can control that?
Yeah.
Like you have your own mix.
Yeah, so like we do like a small version where it's like the stems are like I think it's 11 tracks, and it's like the synths are stereo and pretty much almost everything else is mono, and then any backing vocals are stereo. But it's like kick, snare, toms, or kick, snare, like overhead percussion being just like any like cymbal type of sounds that are electronic or tom sounds that are electronic, mixed with the effects too at the same time, and then synths, guitars, backing vocals, and then like a reverb effects delay channel. You know what I mean? So then, like, I can pull any of those in and out as much as I want, and bass too.
So you can have the mix. If the effects are on their own channel, you can make it completely dry if you want.
Totally, I can pull it out and make the backing tracks completely dry.
Okay, interesting. What do you use to control that?
We use Ableton.
And
it's routed through. I think it's called a Mote 2. It's supposed to be 8 output, but the inputs can convert to outputs too, and it works out to being like 12. And then that routes into an X32 rack, so we don't need a monitor guy. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so that basically eliminates us having to hire a monitor guy on the road with us. Like, it'll be great to have one when it makes sense, but right now we don't have the extra cash to like pay for a monitor guy.
In the meantime, but you can still control
during
it.
soundcheck. We just pass around an iPad to do monitors, and we do our monitors right quick. There. And like on that arena tour we were just on, it was great because all the rooms almost sounded the exact same because it was an arena, so it would just be like slight adjustments for the room. Like,
cool.
Yeah. I love that setup. It's great. And then we also did a club tour on that setup too, and it was the same thing. Like, most of the rooms were pretty similar. You get a slightly bigger room, like you might need a bit more kick and bass. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
Yeah. Because you're getting all the mics too on stage, so you still hear the room.
Yeah.
And then the room's gonna affect how even your electronic stems sound. So like,
if it's bouncing off the walls, and the sound that you're getting off of the room versus what you're hearing in your ears.
Yeah,
is that what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's just like slight adjustments for each one, but it's like you're setting save every night, and then like your sound check for your monitors takes like 2 seconds, and then however long front house takes.
Yeah, it's kind of the amazing thing about digital technology.
Yeah,
that you can just do that.
It's like it totally changed my way of looking at like sound check, like even or just like how our setup is. It's great. I love it.
You're not starting from scratch every night.
Totally, and then like you don't even have to pass around an iPad. You can have it on your phones, and you just do it personally, right quick.
Wild.
Yeah, it's nuts. It just connects to like a Wi-Fi that's built into the rack, and
okay. So from there, like the unit would beam it like using wireless in-ears.
It depends on what the wireless kits are.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just wondering how you get your own mix.
So I either get an XLR feed to my own mixer, which I was doing.
Okay, and then you got control, and then
so like depending on what like the back, like on that arena tour, the back line had real nice. I think it was PS900 in-ear packs, which are great. Versus like if you were just to get like a $400 Shure one, like those ones are kind of crappy. They don't sound nearly as good. I noticed the difference like big time because I used a couple of those like little like $400 Shure ones in like club gigs, and like the sound wasn't amazing. It almost like sounded like it was like low quality. And as soon as we had like the proper backline of like a PSM 900 like rack, it was like, wow, this like beats wedge monitors times 1,000.
Really?
Because like I kind of was like I still kind of like having wedge more, and what I used to do is I would have a wedge on my right giving me everything that was live plus the backing tracks, and then my left ear just backing tracks.
Which is just the tracks, yeah.
So it would be like I wouldn't lose it to the room at all with the monitor for the tracks, and I would have in my left ear, but I would hear everything else out of my monitor. And now my balance is like messed up because one ear was like super loud and one wasn't. But as soon as I switched to the PSM 900 rig, I was like, I can hear everything perfectly. It sounds amazing. It's like full stereo. Like I could tell if something was like behind me on stage, even with my ears in. Like
really,
like that's how like well it sounded. It was like everything sounded normal, but I could like control my volume, and then it was like all my monitor stuff was like directly in my ears. It like blew my mind.
Ooh, you know what's blowing my mind is how great this podcast is. I couldn't imagine a single week going by without listening to it. That's why I make sure to subscribe. I use Apple Podcasts. You can use whatever you like. You could also leave a rating or a review. You won't get anything, but you'll be a cool person. Show notes, as always, for this episode are at learndrums.ca/hitmakers, and you can find Adrian's music at neondreams.ca. All right, let's get back to it.
All right, so how do you go from hooking up with some, send a YouTube link, playing your first couple of shows with some guys you just met, looking for a new band, to playing arenas?
So yeah, CMJ. We played in that band. High school, it was like we jammed like when we had shows.
Yeah, and you guys went through a few names and a few
when we were bored, we went and played in another band called Hello Click for about 2 years. That band did all right, actually. Like, we had a little bit of radio success. We, like, grew a small fan base. And then we stopped doing that, and then we went through this weird phase where we were like, okay, we're just done music in general. Frank was thinking about doing, like, a solo project. Mm-hmm. I was going to play drums for him. I was playing drums for a bunch of hip-hop guys in Halifax, like Quake.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I was playing for Quake. I was playing for KO. I was playing for
Cam Smith, too.
Cam Smith, Mike Boyd, who's Classified's brother, so I got to play with Class a little bit, too. And then we realized, like, this is just turning into a band again, but instead of the 6 of us in Hello Click, it was just 4 of us.
Okay.
And then we started Neon, and then Neon started as this, like, totally different from what we'd done in the past. We were all, like, really into, like, EDM and electronic music, but, like, we played in bands, so I was like, how are we going to play that? Like now it's kind of just, like, a DJ playing the tracks, and, like, I always feel I have to say this, because no disrespect to the DJ, because, like, fucking, in that world, like, the DJ is, like, the most important thing. Like, that music's based around DJing and, like, pre-producing electronic music and then performing it by DJing it. But we were like, that's cool, but there's almost no difference from, like, the only difference of it live is that you're hearing it on a massive PA system, and the DJ might, like, mix it with a couple other tracks. There's not really that big of a... Or he might play, like, a VIP special live version or something like that.
Sure.
But there wasn't really much of a difference from what it was in the studio, except for some guys that are now playing stems, DJing.
Oh, yeah. So then you're actually mixing it live, and you can...
Totally, yeah. And, like, they're, like, pulling out parts, putting in parts, like, and like, that's really cool. But at the time, people weren't really doing that yet, and we were like, we want to play this as a band, and we noticed that, like, artists like Big EDM or like David Guetta's, your Calvin Harris's and stuff, they would have different vocalists on almost every track, except for like Calvin Harris would sing on like a few of his tracks. But we were like, what if we did this like a band where it's a consistent vocalist all the time? We'd have live drums over it in the live setting and live guitar over it in the live setting, and Corey would DJ. So it was me, Corey, Matt, and Frank, and we were like, cool, let's try this as a band. And it was really cool because what we would do is it would be mixed like a DJ set. So, like, tracks would transition like it was the DJ, but then, like, Frank was singing the breaks, and, like, it was, like a full, like, EDM set, but as a band. So I'd be playing other people's tracks and stuff, because in that EDM world, it's not weird to play, like, if you're Calvin Harris, it's not weird to play a Calvin Harris track, an Audion track, and then a David Guetta track, and then a Calvin Harris track. Like, yeah. It's like almost, it's like a respecting, you play other people's track that you support. Yeah. So we were like, cool, so we can do that because we're in that EDM world, so we can start like not actually like covering other people's tracks, but just like playing other people's tracks and doing it like a DJ mix like that. And that worked really well because we would play in like places where bands normally wouldn't play. We'd play like nightclubs and stuff like that. Yep. And we'd do like these weird setups where like clubs wouldn't have a stage, so it'd be just a DJ booth. So I'd be setting up on like a dance platform, like, or like wherever I could find where my drums would fit. And then, like, so there'd be some shows where I'd be up on a dance platform, Corey would be in the DJ booth, Frank would be just like in front on the dance floor, and like Matt would be up on like some other platform, and we'd be playing in like dance clubs. And we'd go play like an hour set to like people that were just going out for like a nightclub night, and that's kind of how we built our fan base originally.
How did you get those gigs?
We would make like promo videos that looked like a normal EDM DJ, you know what I mean? So they would like book it and be like, I don't know what to expect.
The same places that book DJs would book
totally, yeah. So like we get some weird sightings. I remember one time we were playing like an EDM festival that was like based around this barn on a farm. Okay. And it was like a festival, but the DJ booth was up in the roof of the barn, overlooking the festival. But the barn had this little platform up front. So the three of us are now it's just me, Matt, and Frank. Corey's no longer with the band, but it would be like me, Matt, and Frank on the floor, and Corey would be up in this DJ booth like 20, 30 feet above us.
Weird.
While we're like down here and we're like looking up to him to jam with him and stuff like that. And like we'd be in these like weird settings, and that was like really cool to do that type of music as a band, because it totally exposed like myself being a band guy to like this whole different world of electronic music. Yeah. That I did like was not aware of before.
You say a whole different world. Do you mean creatively, or in terms of like there's a scene of people doing
creatively
this?
And a scene? Because like creatively, like for me in the studio now, especially during that era, like I do like a lot more live drums now because we've kind of turned more into like more of a band format that incorporates electronic elements. Mm-hmm. But back then we were making EDM tracks, so there wouldn't be live drums on stuff. It would only be on stage.
Right.
So that creatively, I had to learn how to produce like electronic music. And then also in the scene perspective of where there's this whole group of music fans that want to hear original music and not like they want to go see a DJ, but they want to hear just original music. They don't want to hear like your top 40 hits night and stuff like that. They want to hear like original house tunes or original like trap tunes or like big room or whatever genre it is they're going to see.
Right.
That time, like.
Would that be in the Maritimes or all over?
We did that mostly in the Maritimes. Like the first gig we ever played outside the Maritimes was in Newfoundland, and then we did some in New Brunswick, some in PEI. Mm-hmm. We ended up doing one in Boston randomly years ago. That was cool. It was on like this like it was like the Boston Harbor Cruise or something. We played on this like cruise ship in the harbor or whatever, and that was cool because we went and checked out like Miami Music Week, which is all electronic music for the most part, and just like expose yourself to that whole world. It was really cool.
Wild. So this is a thing that occurs to me. You know, you occasionally will hear people complaining about music being made on computers. Nobody knows how to play instruments anymore.
Yeah.
Is that gonna die? You know, where's the humanity or whatever? What's your take on that?
I think it's switching back where the whole DJ thing is starting to kind of like as. Again, I don't want to like disrespect to the DJ thing, but like a lot of DJs are now making sure they incorporate live elements into their sets. Like, so there's this really cool electronic producer from here named Famba. In like the whole band scene, I feel like not a lot of people know about him, but he has like a platinum record in Norway.
Really?
And he's from here.
Yeah,
but that's how that world works, right? Because everything's so digital. It's also digital in the sense of how music gets spread and stuff.
Yeah, it's online.
So he signed to like Sony Norway, and he has a platinum record in Norway. But he did the electronic DJ thing for a long time. He still does it, but right now he's working on building a set that incorporates him playing guitar in it and and playing synths in it. And it's like the same thing. He'll make stems where it's like the guitar track in the original's out now, and he's playing guitar in those parts and stuff like that. And I feel like for a lot of those electronic guys, it's now about showcasing everything you can do as a musician.
Right.
So it's not just like going and DJing the tracks. It's like, oh, I play guitar in these tracks too, so I'm gonna play guitar on it live, but I also play this synth part here like live, and like I program these drums, but I can also play it on this electronic kick live. So like they almost have like this like circle around them of like different instruments, and it's like almost like a one-man band type of thing, but they're DJing at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because that's how Calvin Harris started. Actually, is he started out playing as a full band. But as like the EDM boom happened, he's like, I don't need the full band. Why am I paying to have all these session musicians come in? And it's like, I'm just gonna DJ it now, and he's kind of getting back into that too. When you watch him like perform on things like the like MTV Awards Europe or whatever, he's playing with like a full string section or like whatever. It's cool.
Well, and I mean, obviously you can afford it too. I think also the people get hung up on. In some ways, they get hung up on what they understand, in the sense of. Like,
I think the thing is that people have to like realize is when you're an electronic musician, you're not really a musician. Well, you're a musician, but you're a producer, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the same sort of situation as like when you go into the studio with a rock producer. He's not the guy playing the record, but he's like making sure you got the right sounds.
Yeah.
And making sure that like the parts flow properly, and he's really there to kind of like oversee the project and being like, yo, this snare drum sounds better than this snare drum on this track, or like. And it's almost the same thing for electronic musicians because, like, the whole entire thing is, like, making sure your sounds fit together well. And
those are skills. And, you know, totally. I think the flip side of it is always, too, like, people playing instruments is like, I've seen a lot of terrible bands in my life. Yeah, you know, that's no guarantee that the music is going to be good. Yeah. And there's amazing electronic music out there, too. You know, the performance thing is where it can get, I think, what people get stuck on is people like, that's not music, they're not musicians.
But you can't deny the talent creatively.
No, you
regardless of your performance ability.
You can't. And that really also kind of doesn't matter. Like, you can go on YouTube all day and find people who can just rip on their given instrument. Doesn't mean that the music they're playing is any good.
Yeah, or like they're just dope at playing other people's songs, and maybe they're not dope at writing their own songs or writing a creative guitar solo over a part or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, my thoughts on it is like if you can perform, showcase it. But if you can't, just do your thing, DJ it. Like,
yeah, I think so
you got to figure out whatever way it is to showcase your music creatively, and if you have the performance chops to show off your ability to perform, then do it.
And if that's even what you want to do.
Yeah, totally.
Because performing also isn't for everybody. There are people who just would rather
if you look at a dude like Circuit, who's from here, he's like the biggest pop producer in the world right now, and he's from Dartmouth. Yeah, so he produced like Starboard by The Weeknd. He's produced a bunch of Katy Perry records.
Really?
Yeah, and he's originally from Dartmouth. He like moved to Toronto when he was like 18 or something like that.
Okay, that guy.
Yeah, but he's a studio guy. He doesn't perform in any bands or anything like that, and he's like the biggest hit writer in music right now.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And so I remember reading an interview with that, and he's totally fine with that too.
Yeah, it was like his first big hit was Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus.
Yeah,
and like dude's been pumping out hits like left and right since then.
Right. Wow. That's crazy. I forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people prefer that because also the thing is when you are in the spotlight, and this is like sort of a different thing, but when you are the one in the spotlight, it's all the pressure's on you to remain interesting. You want to look at Miley Cyrus. There's somebody who's been through a couple of different images in the last 10 years.
Yeah, totally. Or for example, like Corey in our band, he just didn't want to be on stage and perform anymore. He just wanted to solely be a producer and writer, and like he's like still fully in the band in the sense that we produce and write everything when we go into the studio with him, but he just didn't want to perform on stage anymore. And his strong suit was being like a good backing vocalist and MC. He didn't really perform a whole lot of like intricate musical stuff live, but he was like. He fit well on stage and he did his thing on stage, but he was just like, this isn't for me. I'm going to step back and just produce in the studio. And that's another guy that like he can play like a bit, but he's not like a super strong like piano performer or anything like that. But he can pump all of his ideas out in Logic and get exactly what he's looking for out of it, whatever he hears in his brain.
Right. Yeah. So he's a writer. He's a producer.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And it's a different skill set, and it's a different thing.
Yeah.
All right. So, my scripted question. So, one question that I've been asking everybody, that it's funny, it kind of gets answered in a roundabout way anyway, but what made you stick with the drums, or let's even say playing music?
I tried everything.
Yeah?
Yeah. I play guitar in some band, not like full bands, like on a regular thing. I play bass. I did like this acoustic solo thing for a bit, and I don't know. I just always felt at home the most on drums.
Yeah.
And I stuck with music because I told myself I never want to do anything but this. So, yeah. Pretty much.
That's cool. But why? Why? Like you could tell yourself anything as a
the
kid.
reward of being on stage and traveling and writing music and putting things out, seeing how it does, the back and forth of this record flopped on radio, this record did great, and like trying to figure out what works for you and discovering yourself as an artist.
Exactly.
So
learning
I love it. Yeah,
learning what that game is. That's cool. Are you doing music full time?
Yeah. Been doing music full time. I think this is my third year. I think.
Awesome.
Full time. Yeah.
Yeah. And now you've got a team, you've got management, do you have a booking agent?
Yeah. We're a Feldman agency.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're working on a U.S. one right now.
Mm-hmm. What portion of the year do you spend on the road?
I'd say 6 months of the year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what's the longest stretch at a time that you'd be out?
Well, I was supposed to be on a 3-month stretch right now, but that turned into like a month and a half. The longest I've done is 2 months.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that difficult?
I find like week 3 you want to kill everyone, and then like week 4 calms down a bit, and week 5 you feel at home, and then like week 7 you want to kill yourself again, and then week 8 it's like, can I come home? Can I come home? Can I come home? Like,
yeah, the longest I've ever done is 2 weeks, and so I definitely relate to that. Like you want to kill everyone at the end of 2 weeks.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. We have a tour manager as of August, and He is absolutely phenomenal in making sure everything is good all the time. Like, sometimes I'm like, yo, do you ever take care of yourself instead of just, like, taking care of us?
Yeah.
And he's wicked. He does our front of house, too. And he's, like, the most organized, responsible person I've ever met in my life. And we just sometimes just stop and we're like, yo, you're 23. You're way younger than all of us. And, like, you have everything figured out. And actually, when we were doing that arena tour we were just on, Tragically Hips guy was on it with us.
Their tour manager?
Yeah, their tour manager and stuff. And he pulled me aside one day and he was like, we were all freaking out about you guys coming on this tour because you had no crew but a tour manager in front of house. And we all thought you guys were going to be the pain every single day, getting on stage, setting up, sound checking, taking forever on stage.
Right.
And he was like, you guys are like the easiest group ever to work with simply because of your tour manager and how organized he is. He was like, he's going to absolutely kill the Canadian game for...
Wow.
Yeah. And he's like 23 years old. He's worked with like One Republic and like...
How'd you hook up with that guy?
He's from Newfoundland, and the DJ that replaced Corey for when we were on the road, Jason, he's from Newfoundland as well, and he used to do shows with him out in Corner Brook.
Mm-hmm.
He moved to Toronto. I want to say he went to Metalworks. No, he went to Ryerson, I think.
Okay.
For doing front of house sound and stuff, and then we ran into him at a gig in Ottawa, and he was doing sound and tour managing for an artist named Michelle Tracy, who was on Sony. And they were like, hey, like, what are you doing in, like, 2 months? And then it just worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so valuable because that's where so many of those tensions come from, too. Like, not only the travel... What are you traveling in
Right now we were traveling in a Ford E150 XL.
Which is a van?
Big, yeah, 10-passenger van. Actually, not that big, but it's a 10-passenger van. Which is crazy because he went from, like, doing the major label, like... Artists starting out, they got a tour bus right away or like a big like Sprinter right away, and he was like in like a super comfortable position, and he's just like, yeah man, I'll just like troop it out, we'll drive this bus around all of North America, or not bus, van, and like he's usually willing to like take a step back and do the independent band thing.
Yeah. That's cool. That's important too, everybody having their own space. I feel like so much of the tensions come from, part of it is just the stress of like, is this tour going well?
Well, the last tour we did, it was the decision of, do we get a tour bus or do we buy a van and get hotels every night? Because we get a tour bus, we're not getting hotels every night. Mm-hmm. But if we buy a van, we have the van forever, and then we get hotels every night, and we get space from each other. So the decision was, get the van because we can have it for any gig, even like one-offs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then have the space of hotels. Tour bus would have been cool, but doing the van just made more sense. And
the hotel is valuable, man. Sleep is so important.
Showers, being able to poop.
You
you can't poop on the bus. Like
no, and even if you're all sharing a hotel room, that's like that gets nasty. Do you all share a hotel room?
We do like two a room.
Yeah.
So like 2 beds, and then we'll rotate, so we don't have to see the same person every single night.
Oh, we've done 4 to a room, and that.
Starting out, we had done 7 to a room before, like.
Yeah, those bathrooms are nasty.
What, the hotel bathrooms?
Well, just you get that many guys in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it is. I find that's another thing, especially if you don't know where you're staying. You stay in people's houses or whatever.
We do Airbnbs all the time. Airbnbs have like we were in Calgary, for example, for 4 days on this last tour, and instead of getting hotels, we got an Airbnb. It was a 3-floor house, 6 bedrooms. And it was like $110 a night.
Amazing.
Which, if we got the hotels, 3 or 4 hotel rooms, that's like $500, $600.
Oh, easily, yeah. You wouldn't get one hotel.
And then this way, everybody can cook their own food, and everybody has like mat space. There's usually like a couple TVs in the house. Like, I bring my Apple TV on the road to just like watch movies on and stuff like that. I have my own space. I can chill. Like, it's great.
Yeah. And then we were
in California. We were in California, and we had 3 days off, so we Airbnb'd this like cabin way up in the mountains, and like chilled. And there was like a hot tub, and it was like way cheaper than staying in a hotel. And we just had like 3 days in this cabin in California to just chill, and it was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
What were you doing in California?
We did 3 shows on our last run in California. 1 in San Diego, 1 in LA, and 1 in Santa Barbara. And then it was like we were on our way up to Washington before we started Canada. Mm-hmm. And it was just like we had 3 days in between. So
cool. What's your favorite place to play?
My favorite place to be now is Santa Barbara.
Really?
That place is awesome.
What about it? I'm going there.
We go to Airbnb again. We go to Airbnb in Santa Barbara again because we'll just do that. Any more than one night in one spot, we'll get an Airbnb. Yeah. And it came with bikes. And I had the first day off there, so I just like biked all around Santa Barbara, and it's just like super nice there, super chill there. It's like mountains and beach, and like it's hot, it's nice. Yeah. Like it was just awesome.
Beautiful, and all the buildings seem to have the old kind of style. Totally. I don't know what you call that type of architecture.
Yeah, I mean, but,
yeah, like stucco walls, whatever the. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway. And like that being said, that Santa Barbara show it was good. It wasn't great, but Santa Barbara was awesome.
What kind of venues were you playing?
Like clubs, like 300-person clubs. Mm-hmm. And some were awesome. Some were like packed, sold out. Some of them were like kind of okay. It was our first U.S. run, and like I was really surprised that like we even had packed houses. Sometimes I expected like 50 people max at some shows.
Sure,
you know what I mean, like it was.
You guys headlining?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we ended up having some shows that were like rammed. It was really cool.
Do you guys have a team down there, or would that all be online stuff?
Feldman booked that whole thing, and which is dope because they're normally a Canadian agency, and they booked the whole thing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so we did 20 dates in the U.S. One was a Grammy showcase in New York, which was awesome.
Cool.
Because I've never been a part of anything Grammys before, so now I can say I played Grammy Week.
Did you meet anyone famous?
Michael Moore showed up to our show.
Wow.
He got on stage and he sang "Oh Canada" once we finished playing.
Really?
Which is crazy. I met Tom Cochrane and didn't realize it was Tom Cochrane.
Why not?
I just like...
I feel like he's pretty recognizable.
Really? Yeah, I'm not a big classic rock guy, so
sure.
like I just was like, whatever. And then I met him and I was like, oh yeah, hey Tom, thanks for like coming out to our show. I didn't know it was Tom Cochrane. Someone like hit me out. I was like, bro, that was Tom Cochrane. I was like,
yeah.
Cool. I had no idea. Yeah. But it was cool. Yeah.
Whatever.
Tom Cochrane, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
My friend met Dan Mangan at a festival once, and she's like, oh yeah, what band are you in? He's like, Dan Mangan.
Crazy. I'm trying to think about anybody else. I think there were some people from some like MTV shows like Wild and Out and like stuff like that, but no one I was like, holy crap, that person was at a show except for Michael Moore, because I watched a bunch of Michael Moore movies. Super nice guy. Very nice guy.
I bet he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he is. He seems like somebody who genuinely cares a lot.
And Daniel Caesar was on that show too, and he absolutely destroyed the Canadian and North American music industry this year.
Yeah.
His record was really cool. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's the future hold for Neon Dreams? Let's. So you're supposed to be on tour right now. Let's talk about that for a second, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we were supposed to be on tour with Headley, and then all these sexual assault allegations came out on them, and we just felt the most important thing was the victims' voices in that situation, and we felt the best thing that we could do to support that was to back out the tour as support on the tour, just to support those victims that were coming out and any victims that still haven't came out, you know what I mean? So we just didn't feel right hopping on stage every night anymore, and we just backed away from it.
Fair enough.
We were 8 shows in. It was like 6 shows in that all that stuff came out, and then we had to think on it for like 2 days or so, and then we were like, yes, absolutely. But like that was our initial decision was like, yes, we have to get out of this tour, but we had to kind of think about the politics of it all.
Sure, of course, there's legal contractual obligations.
Totally, yeah, we were in a contract, all that stuff.
But it's also. I mean, had you guys played shows of that stature before?
Yeah,
or many?
Yeah, we've done. We opened up for the Chainsmokers at the Calgary Stampede the year before. We've done some festivals, and we've done shows with Mariners Trench. We've done a bunch of shows that are of that size, just not that long of a stretch.
Right.
There was 32 shows like that every single night with catering rules. But yeah, so we did 8 shows out of 32, and they're amazing shows. We made a whole bunch of new fans. It was insane. There was 100 to 200, 300 kids lined up every night wanting to take pictures, wearing our merch.
Wow.
It was really cool. Yeah. And it was something I'd never been a part of before, and it was awesome. But sometimes you got to put your morals first. You know?
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, I was impressed. I thought you guys made the right decision. When I saw that, I also am aware that for a young band, that's a big opportunity to walk away from. However, even if you wanted to be completely cynical about it, it does then the question arises of how much of an opportunity is it if you had decided to go down that road, you know?
Totally. Well, there's another band that hopped on, and I'm not going to say any names, but they took a lot of heat for hopping on
they did.
On that tour, and they ended up dropping off after like 3 shows when they hopped on after us and Sean Hook both dropped off that tour.
Yeah.
And said enough's enough, and then another band hopped on that tour, and they ended up dropping off after about 3 shows.
Well, and it's the kind of thing where you go for the money. Like, I understand from a business sense why somebody would want to hop on.
Totally, we had a ton of money invested into that tour that now it's like it's a useless investment, somewhat. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah, I mean, you take your hits, but sometimes, like I said, morals come first.
And this business too, the music business, what you're dealing in is not purely. It's not like you're making, you know, widgets or tires or something.
Yeah.
Where you are on some level you're selling emotions and experience.
Yeah. Especially in that pop world.
Like,
Like it's crazy. Half of it is selling your character. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You were a fan of those guys growing up, is that correct?
Yeah, a bit like in their like pop punk era.
Yeah. I remember them being a huge band. I guess I want to say close to 10 years ago. I was a little too old for it when it came out, so I always.
They were like extra poppy Newfound Glory when they first came out.
Yeah.
Like, and then they moved into that pop world, and that's where I kind of fell off from it. But, I mean, I thought they were cool back then.
I remember like Green Day, American Idiot, Billy Talent, and Headley were like
totally
huge bands for kids of that age. I mean, that's a shame.
I mean, whatever. There's gonna be more. That's the way I look at it. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not even saying it's a shame for you guys.
Oh, and the whole situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a shame that. You know, you want to believe that the world is some kind of a meritocracy and people who are in positions of power or prominence are there because they've earned it and they're just stand-up people and whatever. I'm going to have to say that I believe the victims in this case because why would they come out? Just like in any case, I have no proof. I have no reason to really, I guess, suspect anyone of anything. But my gut is that's where that goes. Anyway, that's that. Yeah. So, that being said, you guys have got some free time now. You're doing a thing with donuts.
Vandal Donuts.
You told me this morning, yeah.
So Vandal Donuts, after that whole situation, they created us a tribute donut, which I thought was really rad. And I looked on Instagram, I'm seeing this donut. And everybody's buying it. It's selling out. And I was like, man, I got to go try this donut before it sells out. So I went and tried it. And then our management got in contact with them and was like, hey, like, how about we come down and like do an acoustic performance? And they're like, hey, how about we donate the proceeds of the donut from that day you guys were there to Add Some for Women, which is this cool organization that raises money for women-led families for housing. And so at 2 o'clock today, we're going to go down, do like an acoustic performance, and hopefully people buy some donuts, and all the sales today go to Add Some. And amazing. It's International Women's Day, so it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, amazing. What's the donut taste like?
It's like a lime glaze. That's amazing, and yeah, it tastes like a you know, like imagine like a gourmet version of the Tim Hortons donut with the white top and the sprinkles.
Yep.
But the white top tastes limey.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Great. Yeah.
Does the flavor represent your band at all?
Yeah, I mean the visual of it does because it's like this like neon green and neon pink. So yeah,
cool.
I think that's why they named it that.
All right. How does an acoustic Neon Dreams performance work?
I play a djembe, and Matt plays guitar, and Frank does vocals, and I do the occasional backing vocals. So.
Yeah. Have you guys done much of that?
We do it every single time we go to a radio station, a TV station.
Right. So you do a lot of that on tour?
Yeah. So pretty much every time we're in the city, we do our best to hit every single radio station we can and every single TV station we can, and whatever's our single out at the time, we'll do it acoustic.
Yeah. And
then occasionally we'll do like a full acoustic set, like 20 to 30 minutes. We did one with Mix 96 at Casino Nova Scotia over Christmas, and We did one at the Stubborn Goat one time, so like
it's
kind of like a rare occasion thing, but we'll do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, how are we doing for time? You gotta go?
We can keep going. Can you give me like 2 seconds to see who keeps calling me?
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, we can edit this out
Someone
anyway.
is blowing up my phone right now. Yeah, I have 4 missed calls from my manager.
Cool. Let's just wrap it up anyway. I think we got tons. Unless there's anything that you want to.
Call me ASAP.
Yeah.
I got like 3 ASAPs.
All right. Cool. Adrian, thanks a lot for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Cool.
All right, there you have it, folks. Fine young chap. Adrian is. Great to see him doing good things and big things. He was one of my first drum students, actually, when I started teaching and didn't really know what I was doing. He was one of the first guys, or one of the first kids, who came along and presented me with a bit of a challenge because he could actually play. And so you have to find stuff that is going to be of value to him. Anyhow, it was great to catch up. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Once again, you can find his music at neondreams.ca. And show notes for this episode are at learndrums.ca/hitmakers. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.